Друзья, всем привет! Мы сегодня играем The Forgotten City. Решила я такую игру еще сыграть для вас. Так мило.
Hey, you're alive. When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, a phone, maybe. I hope you don't mind. But all I found was some loose change. So, wanna tell me who you are?
Ну да, давай я, женщина. Вот так.
Well, it's nice to meet you. And I'm sorry to pry, but any idea why you were floating down the river? What's the last thing you remember?
Так, мне нужно было найти древние руины. Археолог. Годы изучения истории порой позволяют лучше понимать древний мир. Так, мне поручили секретную операцию. У вас есть личное оружие, но пуль всего 10. Придется использовать их с умом. Возможности пополнить боезапас не будет. Я скрываюсь от властей. Вы уже долго скрываетесь от властей и привыкли действовать быстро. Так, плюс 25% к скорости бега. Я вообще почти ничего не помню. Из-за недавней травмы головы вы стали менее восприимчивы к боли. Живучесть повышена на 50%. Давайте выберем последнее, так как я понятия не имею, о чем эта игра.
It does look like you took a pretty hard blow to the head. You're just lucky you've been given a second chance. Which is why I feel terrible for what I'm about to say, but I have a favor to ask.
Ну, конечно.
There are some ruins just behind you. Roman, I think. I need you to go in there and see if you can find a guy named Al for me. He went in there a few hours ago, and he hasn't come out. I've been freaking out, wondering if he's trapped or injured or worse. I would have gone in after him, but he made me promise to stay here, no matter what. There's no way I'm leaving without him, so I'm just kind of stuck here, waiting. What I mean is, I was hoping you wouldn't mind going in there to find him. If you can do that, I can get both of you back to civilization in my boat. Please?
Так, ты не против, если я сначала задам пару вопросов?
Oh, of course. Sorry, I don't mean to be pushy. What do you want to know?
Пару вопросов, может, или все можно, или...
What am I, an idiot? You could hike a long, long way in any direction and never find another soul. Trust me.
Че с тоном-то, блин? Я башкой ударилась, я ничего не понимаю.
You really don't remember? We're in Italy. This river is the Tiber. Oh, there's not much to tell. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Know what I mean? Oh, I'd rather not say if it's all the same to you. All right, fine. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen. You're welcome. Always happy to help. Was there anything else you wanted to ask?
Я немножко не в теме.
He's the guy who washed up on the riverbank not long before you did. I thought maybe you two knew each other. I guess not. But maybe the two of you can piece together what you're doing here. In any case, you'll like him, I'm sure. Once you find him, that is. Not much, really. But imagine what you might find in there. Priceless ancient artifacts. Al...
Ну, видимо,
Great. So you're ready to go look for Al? Thank you. The entrance is just past those columns behind you. Please, hurry. Oh, and he left this here. But I think you'll need it more than I will.
Ну да, у тебя есть тут костер. Просто подкидывай. Ну, классно, надеюсь, у нас... Так. Как. Давайте смотрим. Я знаю, что здесь каждый мой выбор будет влиять на окончание. Ну, то есть я могла бы с ней тут поссориться сильно, допустим. Ой, как быстро. Так, достать фонарик. Чуть не поняла. Видимо, еще не слишком темнее для фонарика. Можно так, да? Ой, классно, да. Тут не надо искать. Видно это. Карен. Я, видимо, не в теме, что там за приколы с Карен. Видимо, как у нас были приколы с Анастасией одно время. Наверное, там что-то с Карен. Слушайте, мне еще бежать, конечно, это тут. Меня реально вырвет. Ну вот прикольно. Ну, тут я хочу вернуться, посмотреть. Наверное, тут красиво видно. Дальше. А воду можно, интересно, прыгнуть? Нет. Воду прыгнуть нельзя. Ладно. И вот он такой сюда пошел, да, и вот так. У нас получается 50% живучести добавилось. Только что шкалы здоровья я не вижу. И... В общем, ладно. Записка его читать.
If you're reading this, it means I've discovered the entrance to an ancient Roman city hidden deep underground. Its existence is long forgotten, all knowledge of it lost, except in the Latin inscription
Монетка
here.
нет! Я умерла, да?
It reads, "You who wish to enter the city, step forth and be judged. The virtuous shall be rewarded with eternal life in paradise. The wicked shall find themselves showered in gold, but in vain, for this shall be their final resting place." Could an underground city have remained a secret for all this time? Could people have survived down there, against the odds? It seems there's only one way to find out. If I'm not back in an hour, I'm somewhere on the other side. Consider this an invitation, or a warning. Al Worth.
Блин, стрёмно так падать. Это вообще... А, это что-то с чем-то. Так. Тут. Блин, я теперь всего боюсь. Что за шепот? В смысле? Я тут это не это самое. Я прям вот так же дрожу сейчас. Так. Давайте тут только без скримеров всяких, я вас умоляю. Ладно, пойдем. Так. Блин. Реально стрёмно. Римский гладиатор, пытающийся от чего-то убежать. Что могло заставить его обратиться в бегство? Ты что-то сказал? Босиком. Почему они не смотрят? Вот заразы. Так, давай игра не это самое. Хоба. Молодая римлянка, похоже, она молила о пощаде. Что такое? Что-то у меня голос пропадает. Видимо, напугался и пытается. Так, ну, блин, ну по крайней мере мы вышли, так сказать, на воздух. Чуть непонятно, но какой-то... Так. И зачем мне сейчас быстро сохраняться? Ну давайте. Быстро сохранюсь. Мне показалось, она на меня повернулась. Кого сзади-то нет? Римский военачальник, закрывающийся от чего-то. Римский легионер, замерший в ужасе. Блин, прости. пожалуйста. Я врезалась в тебя. Так. Я сегодня недолго в это поиграю, судя по всему, потому что у меня все больше и больше пропадает воздух. Фу, господи, голос. Почему я сказала воздух? Ого, это мы прям, нифига себе, мы прям в пещере. Римлянка, молящая о помощи, которая так и не пришла. Блин, это как бы стрёмно, что мы в пещере. Все-таки мы не под открытым небом. Ну-ка. А где эта табличка-то? Это... А, господи.
To whoever reads this, I'm sorry you had to find me like this. And worse, that you'll suffer the same fate I did. I've spent a lifetime in this place, going around and around in circles, searching for a way out. The inscription was right. There is no way back. And here there are only two options: death, or that godforsaken doorway into the past. I made the mistake of stepping through it. I wanted to set things right. And I tried. I really tried. Whatever I did, it took me right back to the beginning. Don't make the same mistake. Better to end it all now and find out what awaits you beyond that portal.
Молодая римлянка в панике. Хватит шептаться тут. Уже бесит. Сейчас отличный момент для скримеров, если они тут есть вообще в этой игре. У меня не так-то сложно напугать. Нашла черную дыру. Римлянин стоит на коленях, словно моля богов прощать. Останки человека, кто бы это ни был, умер он уже очень давно. А это по-любому, наверное, Эл. Я почти уверена в этом. С этими порталами всегда вспоминаю Доктор Кто. Прям не знаю почему. Держите shift. А, все, тап.
Salve, friend. I'm Galerius. Mind telling me who you are and what you were doing in the Shrine of Proserpina? No idea what you're talking about. Oh, wait. Are you a bit, not right in the head? That's all right, friend. Everyone's welcome here.
Нет,
We
ладно.
sort of lose track of the date down here, but it feels like the beginning of spring to me, so I'd say early March? It's 817 AUC. Sorry, you look confused. 817 years since the founding of Rome.
Блин.
Which part of the
Много
empire are
вопросов.
you from exactly?
Давай, не важно.
But listen, most folks seem a bit confused when they get here, but you seem very lost, and in more ways than one. So let me make this nice and simple for you. Live by our law here, and we'll all get along just fine. Not laws, law. There's just one, the golden rule, and the punishment for breaking it's, well, it's kind of horrific. But our magistrate insists we take all newcomers to see him, so I guess I'll let him fill you in. So then, you coming? Follow me. When I first arrived, I couldn't believe there were people living down here. But, as you can see, we've got a nice little community now. Only 23 of us at the moment, if you count the 3 who are missing. No idea how, since nobody knows a way out. But it's just big and dark enough to get lost in, if you're not careful.
Aren't you going to introduce me to your pretty new friend, Galerius?
Keep it in your loincloth, Aurelia. I'm taking her to see the magistrate.
That pompous old bore won't be magistrate for much longer. Anyone who helps vote him out today drinks at my bar for free tonight.
А, ты меня ждешь, да?
Politics. I'd stay clear of it and her, if I were you. She's, it's not my place to say. Down on your right is our farm, where I grow all the food you'll ever want. As long as all you want is leek, cabbage, and wheat. Huh. That one usually gets a chuckle.
The bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone.
Don't mind Livia. She means well. She's just been in a bad place since... Well, you know, I don't know what happened to her. Up here on your right is the chasm. If you've got a weapon, it belongs way down at the bottom. Up on your left is the forum, where you can visit the market or get yourself patched up in Lucretia's clinic in the Shrine of Apollo. Most of us have almost nothing, just what we had on us when we arrived, and what we've been able to make and scrounge up since. And this central plateau is where the magistrate and the other patricians live, so don't expect a warm welcome.
Galerius, you're meant to be working the farm, not trudging dirt into the villas.
Take it easy, Horatius. I was just taking our new friend here to see the magistrate.
Well, he's asked me to escort the newcomer personally. The farm. Go. Now.
You better go
Пойдем,
with him.
дурак.
Just remember, they're not like you and me. Don't let them use you.
What was that? What did you just say?
I said it'll take some getting used to.
Yeah, I'm watching you, farm boy. Greetings, citizen. My name's Horatius. Magistrate Sentius asked me to escort you to him personally. Follow me, please. Follow me.
Мне кажется,
The
он
only
бы
thing
все
you
равно
really
меня
need to
повел,
understand
даже
right now
если
is the
я сказала,
golden
нет,
rule.
я не пойду.
Let me see if I can explain it this
Будет
way.
весело.
When I was serving in the Legion, if there was a mutiny brewing in one cohort, the legate in charge wouldn't waste time finding the bad apples among hundreds. They just divided us into groups of 10, made us draw straws, and whoever drew the short straw had to be executed by the other 9. Didn't matter whether he'd done anything wrong. One of us in 10 would die for the crimes of the collective. We call it decimation. If that seems like rough justice to you, you're in for a rude shock. Because the golden rule is exactly 10 times worse. The magistrate can explain the rest. He's up these stairs.
Что-то быстрее. у вас тут?
Citizen. We're finally alone. I assume you already know who I am. May I know your name? A curious name to match a curious accent. But I digress. Now, you're probably wondering why I summoned you, and I'll get to that. But first, take a look at this wondrous place, would you? A secret city built deep in the mountains, many hundreds of years ago. Indeed. More importantly, consider the miraculous community we've built here over the last 7 months. 22 complete strangers brought together by the fates, living and working together in our own little paradise. And in all that time, not a single sin has been committed. No fights, no theft, nothing. Have you ever witnessed something so extraordinary as a city without sin? Nor could I until I came here. But the reason for this miracle is as simple as it is terrifying. If even one person commits a sin here, every last one of us will die. You see, the builders of this place, whoever they were, left inscriptions warning, "The many shall suffer for the sins of the one." From what we can gather, breaking the law here will anger the gods and provoke a terrible punishment. Like the curses of Medusa and Midas combined, turning us all to gold. We've come to call it the Golden Rule. It's extraordinary that we've survived as long as we have, and each day I grow more and more afraid that our time in the sun is almost up. And now it seems that day is finally here. All that matters is that somebody in this city is about to break the Golden Rule. Why else would Proserpina send you now? Unless you and I can stop them, our doom is assured. I know that's a lot to take in, and you look like you have questions. Please, ask away. Do you ever stare at a problem for so long that you can't see it for what it is anymore? What's needed here is a fresh pair of eyes. The less I prejudice the independence of your investigation, the better. Well, all right. There are those who wish to vote me out of office so that they can pursue their own misguided political agenda. Frankly, their selfishness and recklessness risk destabilizing the entire city. I would be looking very carefully at them if I were you. Well, I believe you're in the best position to go around asking people questions. You're new here, and it'll seem perfectly normal. As for me, well, it pains me to say my attempts to impose order have not earned me many friends. I fear I may not even remain magistrate after today's election. The people here would only treat my curiosity with suspicion. You shouldn't have that problem, though, unless, of course, you get off on the wrong foot. An intelligent question. There was a good deal of debate about that in our first weeks here. Does it refer to crimes or to some other ill-defined wrong? Of course, everyone agrees on the basics. No theft, no assault, and certainly no murder. But beyond that, it was more difficult to reach a consensus. What about lying, insulting someone, blasphemy, trespass, trying to escape, bribery, infidelity, suicide. As magistrate, I had to exercise leadership, and so I made a decision. We must uphold the laws of the Empire to a standard never before seen. And we must honor the peace of the gods, the sacred accord between the gods and the people of Rome. It is only by offering the gods the proper respect that we may prosper, as Rome has for centuries.
Ну, блин, это прям явная критика, конечно. Но с другой стороны, если это может их убить, то вполне логично, что лучше этому следовать. Ну, и с учетом, что мы знаем, что это реально их убьет. А не так, что они верят, что это их убьет, и значит, они это точно убьют. Так.
I'm glad you agree. The key things to remember are that we have laws forbidding treason and blasphemy, murder, assault and rape, as well as theft and arson and so on. I have made my pronouncement on the subject. Unfortunately, there are still those here who resist, whispering blasphemous and treasonous lies in the shadows. I would be keeping a close eye on them if I were you. All I can tell you is that it's a ritual sacrifice to Proserpina. I stumbled across instructions. I have to recite a prayer, and of course, as with all rituals, some sacrifice is involved. Usually that means wine or food, or in some cases a live animal. In this case, the sacrifice is rather more costly. The life of the person performing the ritual. I don't suppose you saw any sign of me in the future? Ah, I assume that was me. If I'm forced to perform the ritual, it's going to cost me everything. You'll try to make sure I don't need to use it, won't you? Well, I suppose that's all I can ask for. If I understand Proserpina's ritual correctly, that problem should take care of itself. Let me see if I can explain. If you manage to prevent the sin that breaks the golden rule, I won't need to bring you here. I won't create the portal, and you will never have been able to come here. Thus, you'll have created a paradox. If this occurs, you should be flung back to your own time, having changed the past for all of us. Make sense? Ah, good. So, are you with me? Can I count on you to figure out who's about to break the golden rule? Wonderful. Now, I need you to investigate the city, talk to everyone, help them if it will win their trust. I authorize you to enter private homes and inspect possessions and documents, unless of course you're asked to leave. Figure out who the culprit is, and as soon as you have a name, come back and tell me immediately. Oh, and one last thing. If I were you, I'd start my investigation by visiting Lucretia at the Shrine of Apollo in the Forum. I heard wailing from there not long ago. Seems like something's not right.
Так. То есть получается, если бы в самом начале я бы там солгала по поводу там, что-то я не помню, ну, в общем, в скобочках-то там было, что это ложь. То есть, в общем-то, вот, пожалуйста, нарушили бы закон человек, который должен был спасти всех. В первую очередь бы сделал все неправильно. То есть, хорошо, что мы, в общем-то, откровенны. Ну, я подумала, что мне потом припомнили бы то, что там, ты соврала. И там, то все. Дерзость, так тоже, мне кажется, Милюха то дерзить. Там были в ответ, которые там довольно-таки дерзкие. Так.
Oh, another one fresh out of the baths, I take it.
Почему прямиком из бани?
Ugh, I wish Horatius would stop letting barbarians in here. What do you want? You know, some people say it's the creation of an all-seeing God who's watching everything we do. But what kind of an awful, incompetent God would let my sister go missing on his or her watch? Oh, I'd say it to their faces if they had the courage to show themselves. Did you hear that? Curse you, you coward! Where is my sister? What do you have to say for yourself? No response. Nothing. That's what I thought. I'm telling you, this mysterious god of ours has to be asleep on the job. Either that, or, like people are saying, it really is just a children's fable my father is exploiting to frighten us into behaving. I suppose we will. I trust you can see yourself out.
Неприятная тетенька. И что я по столам скачу, как олень, блин. Я что-то не думала, что он нас залезет. Несомненно, было неприятно готовить пищу при настолько плохой вентиляции, но римляне, вероятно, считали это проблемой своих слуг. Да. Это морковь фиолетовая. Такое она была до того, как начали выращивать современную оранжевую. Ну, в общем-то, еще здесь фиолетовая морковь. Это не что-то из ряда вон. То есть тут я заскочить как олень не могу, блин. А там на стол запрыгнул, хоть бы что, по огню прошелся. Прошлась.
Are they?
Keep an eye out for Scintilla, would you?
Hey Horatius, how's it feel knowing your man's doomed to lose the election today?
If you're trying to goad me into an argument, it won't work. I'm a stoic, remember?
If the old man couldn't even keep his own daughter safe, how can anyone trust him to keep us safe, eh?
Why do I get the feeling you lot had something to do with Scintilla's disappearance?
That's it. Blame everyone but yourself.
If I find out you did something to that poor sweet girl, not even the golden rule is gonna protect you. Got it?
Huh. As if I'll be afraid of you, little man.
А вот и не подеретесь. Давай, занимайся тут своей ерундой дальше. Тут пройти-то можно? Да что ж такое-то? Я буду долго тут плутать. Такие хопа, это мужская баня. Вломилась. Ого. За мной бабочки вылетели.
On your best behavior, I trust?
may Vesta watch over you. I'm Equitia. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit?
Давай так.
Oh my. I take it people are quite direct where you're from. I suppose it's quite charming in its own way. Usually, however, you wouldn't simply march up to a Vestal priestess and without due formality or courtesy ask, "What is your story?" The proper approach would be to arrange an introduction through a mutual acquaintance in high office, by which time you would already know how to address me. And then you would find a way to satisfy your curiosity rather more indirectly. But to be honest, I've often thought what an unnecessarily formal way to communicate that is.
Отлично.
So, let's do it your way. You just keep being yourself and ask whatever you like. It'll be a refreshing change.
Вас тут всего 20 человек, 23, если еще считать тех троих, которые потерялись. Как тут, через каких знакомых, и вы все знакомы тут, блин.
You really don't know? You are from far away, aren't you? Well, I am one of the priestesses, charged with keeping the sacred flame in Rome's shrine of Vesta burning. I take it you know who Vesta is? Vesta is the mother goddess of hearth and home, and the guardian of the Roman people.
Это как-то не очень, мне кажется.
Put simply, I tend to the temples, ensure their sanctity is preserved. Why? So that we continue to honor our gods, invite their blessings, and not bring their wrath down upon us, of course. It's vital that we keep them appeased and remain in their good graces. I'm quite sure it's the work of the gods, which is strange because they've never been particularly concerned with our misdeeds, as long as we've kept the peace of the gods. We asked for blessings, for good health, bountiful harvest, military victory, and in return, we offer praise, wine, incense, or animals. But here, it seems they require much more of us. I find myself reminded of an especially pertinent tale from our great poet Ovid in his epic Metamorphoses. Would you like to hear it? It is rather long.
Блин, вот вроде нехорошо отказывать. Но...
I suppose so. Jupiter and Mercury put a town to the test by disguising themselves as vagrants and asking for shelter there. Everyone turned them away and failed that test, except for an old couple named Baucis and Philemon, and so the gods gave them time to escape and granted them a wish, and then wiped that town off the map.
Жестко.
Some say the moral of that story is that we must all honor the sacred rituals of guest friendship, the reciprocal obligations owed between hosts and guests. But I like to think it's that we should always show compassion for those less fortunate than ourselves. I'm pleased to hear it.
Это я подмазалась, ладно. Давай.
It must be completed by dusk, just the same as any other official business. It'll be between Sentius, the incumbent, and Malleolus, the challenger. Why do you ask? All of the male citizens who are willing and able to attend, unless they're running, of course. That's just the way it's always been, I'm afraid. It never sat right with me, either. There are some women who can vote, Vestal priestesses like myself, but in this case, given my role overseeing the election, I've decided to abstain. I can't allow the perception that I'm being anything but fair and independent.
Ну да.
But if it's any consolation, there are other ways to influence the outcome of an election. By using whatever gifts the gods gave you. Nothing untoward, of course. Certainly. See you again soon, I hope.
Вот это вот приятная девушка.
What now?
Повежливо со мной будь, я могу на тебя настучать.
Well, as I always say, it's kind of like a divine version of the practice of decimation in the Legion. By threatening to execute 1 in 10 men, the idea is to ensure order and discipline among everyone. And it works. If you knew you could be executed because your brother-in-arms is planning a mutiny, well, you'd bloody well watch him like 100-eyed Argus, wouldn't you? Because your only chance of saving yourself is to stop bad things before they happen. Makes us all responsible for keeping each other in check. It's brutal, of course, but effective. The Legion wouldn't be the most formidable force in the world without it. What's done is done. I was forced to execute my brothers-in-arms, and those memories will always visit me in my sleep. But life is harsh, and I've come to accept my lot. As with the Golden Rule, I don't have any control over it, so railing against it would be like trying to stop the seasons or the tides. As Seneca the Younger wrote, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing. If you like. I'm a legionary of the 1st Italica, but there's not a lot of fighting down here. So the magistrate has assigned me other duties. I act as the magistrate's right-hand man, keeping an eye on his daughter, I should say, and the others, and making sure they're all behaving. I also keep a register of new arrivals. I'm from Liguria, up north originally. I was doing all right for myself. 12 years into my service. Had a nice girl lined up for when it was all over. Not anymore. She's probably figured I'm long gone and moved on by now. I try not to think about it. My commander sent me to deliver a message to Rome. While I was there, I thought I'd do something nice for my girl and pick up a little pendant from a silversmith. That's when the crowd started flooding through the streets, shouting fire. People were screaming, trampling each other. Then some Genetricum Fugitor tried to take advantage of the chaos and pinch my pendant. I remember chasing him through the crowds, down towards the river. And then, nothing. Blacked out and woke up near here. No idea how I ended up floating so far downriver. But I'm fortunate to be alive, I suppose.
Так его, получается, заманили сюда? Ну, я так поняла.
Ah, don't be. As Seneca the Younger said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labour does the body. That said, Scintilla's disappearance has been more difficult than I'd care to admit. He's one of the better commanders I've ever had, that's for sure. Good stoic. Lives by Seneca's words. Treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Can't ask for much more than that. I don't see why not. Just make sure I get it back by tomorrow.
Ну, класс. Аврелия, Вертилий, Галерий. Ага. Так. Ганнибал, Георгий, Гораций, Деций, Домиций, Дуилий, Клавдия, Ливия, Лукреция, Малеол, Невия, Ксавия, Руфий, Синчий, Синчила, Сенсия, Ульпий, Фабия, Фаба, Шеклия, Эквисия, Юлия. Пропал. Трущобы. Вилла. Все больше волнуется. Вот это вот пропало. Не заслуживает доверия. Вот этот, который, наверное, там качался. Заперлась во дворце. А, ну вот, наверное, это... Плебей, врач. Странно. Так. В данный момент отказывается работать. Парикмахер. Заключен на складах. Нетрудоспособен. Ага, так, форма. Умер в цистерне. Говорится, знает, как выбраться. Аврелия. Надо будет спросить. Форум. Угу.
Of course. Not that it's any of your business, but my loyalty is and always will be with Sentius. Unfortunately, I don't think my vote is going to make any difference today. See, Domitius has been going around town, shoring up votes for Malleolus with lies, bribery and intimidation. The man's a savage, but he's a gladiator, so people fear and respect him more than they should. Sentius knows about it, of course, but he doesn't have the same rat cunning as Malleolus. This place will be different with that Slays at the helm. But I try not to worry about things I can't change. I suppose it is. All right?
Ну тут, походу, уже были люди. Чего? Ага, видела тебя, собака.
Name's Rufius. Better watch your step.
Давай вот
Can't
так.
talk long to stay sharp, but family's from Seleucia on Tigris, Babylon province. But I've been roaming a long time now. Even joined the legions, the 6th, the one they call Ironclads. If you were dealing with what I am, you wouldn't be either.
Чего тебе?
None of your business. In Troy ipsum commensula.
Типа меня матюгом каким-то своим позвал?
magistrate made me toss it in the chasm. Stupid. Going to have to improvise now. Same way as everyone else.
Тупо толпой пришли и прыгнули в яму или что?
If we have to. I'll tell you this much. I hate the fact that my survival depends on the common sense of other people.
Классно, блин, это супер вообще.
I mean, all these people just bumble along like nothing's wrong, while we're one bad decision away from being wiped out. Like the last lot of people who lived here. Seems like I'm the only one ready for what's coming. Whatever that is. And when it hits, it's everyone for themselves. You've been warned. I don't know. But did you ever get the feeling some of these statues are watching us when we're not looking? Like they're waiting for something. I don't like it. Of course I am. Meliodas. Not sure I trust Sentius. Couldn't even protect his daughter in a city without sin. How's he going to protect us? No.
Ой, все.
Whatever.
Так. Надо будет записать, с кем я говорю. А так, давайте так нажмем. Чтобы видеть маркер цели, щелкните по значку глаза рядом с ним. Пойдемте в эту бродалку. Сюда. Набор примитивных медицинских инструментов, включая щипцы и ножницы. Я думаю, будет не очень красиво, если я буду ее так выскивать.
Give me a moment. Sorry I'm such a mess. I just lost a patient and a dear friend. Yulia. She was a good woman. She was poisoned. She came in here frothing at the mouth. Normally I'd treat her with resin of silphium, a rare plant which is perfect for this sort of thing. And I knew Decius had some at his market stall, right around the corner. So I ran over there, but he just looks at me with this evil smile and says, "That'll be 1,000 denarii." There was no way I could afford that, and he knew it. Then that toad shrugs and says, "Supply and demand. I guess you don't value your friend's life that highly." Anywhere else, I'd just pay a thug to steal it from his stall. But there's no way I can do that down here with the golden rule. So all I could do is come back here and just watch her die. I kept on apologizing. And now I'll never know who poisoned her, or how they managed to do it without breaking the golden rule, or why she cursed that snake's cruel black eyes with her dying breath. Well, unless you have the power to bring someone back from the dead, there's really just one thing you can do.
Get me that silphium resin. I'm going to have another patient in here soon. Could be in the next day or in the next hour. And I will not allow this to happen again. I don't care how you get it, but you have to make it happen. Because if I lose another patient this way, I swear to the gods below, not even the golden rule will stop me from marching up to that genetic comfortutor and scratching his eyes out.
Последний какой-то на немецком уже вот прям.
Then you'd better get me that silphium quickly, hadn't you?
Блин, это вообще стрёмно, реально стрёмно. А иди, короче, знаешь что? Пей. Набор, так, смотри. Пестик не сильно изменились за последние 2 тысячелетия. Ну как бы. Ой. Деревянный стеллаж, в котором хранятся различные высушенные и измельченные вещества.
May Apollo keep you safe.
Ах ты собака. Не смотри на меня. Ого. Так, надо будет поставить 18+. Зря посмотрела. Может,
May
еще, если я
Apollo keep you
обыщу?
safe.
И убежу. Ты не видел никого, ничего не видел. А теперь...
Wonder how much one of these statues is worth on the outside.
Слышь ты,
Salve, stranger, and welcome to our idyllic little slice of the Empire. I'm Dacius. Terrible shame what happened to Yulia, but we just have to carry on, don't we? You mean, how did I end up here? That is a lengthy tale. Alright. Well, you see, I'm in the business of procuring rare and precious objects liberated from the enemies of Rome. Mostly sculptures, vases, the occasional slave, fetch a magnificent price in Roman high society. Had myself a nice little shop in Rome just off the Forum, lots of foot traffic and close to the docks. Good place to be when the fires broke out. See, about 7 months ago, half of Rome caught on fire. Everyone who couldn't get to an outer gate was running for the river, hoping to escape by barge. So I gathered my coins and some priceless vases into a cart and had my most loyal slave girl, pretty young thing named Acantha, push it for me. All the way down to the river, I'm elbowing through a stampede of people, turning back now and then to make sure she hasn't legged it with my valuables. But, to my surprise, we make it, and I see this barge loading up, and it's so full it's almost sinking. But the captain's happy to take my coin, so I start boarding, and then he puts his hand on my chest and he says, "No, too heavy. The cart or the girl." So I did what anyone would have done. Of course I chose the cart. I mean, I can always buy a new slave girl if I still have my money. So I put my hand on the cart, and I guess she realised what was happening because those pretty black eyes of hers go all wide. And in one swift motion, she topples the whole bloody thing into the Tiber. No, I dived in after it, of course. Aren't you paying attention? That was a bloody fortune. Only, I guess I must have hit my head or something, because everything went black. When I came to, I'd washed up on the riverbank not far from here with nothing in the world but a single silver coin. Thank you, friend, but it turns out it might have been a stroke of good fortune because this place is a veritable treasure trove. Look around you, there must be more gold in here than in the treasury of Rome. If I can just figure out how to get it out of here. It's terrible for inflation is what it is. There's so much gold just lying around, it's practically worthless, at least down here. Of course, I have an idea for generating real wealth, but what I need is a bow. Just a simple composite bow. I've scoured this city from top to bottom with no luck. But if you happen to find one, bring it to me and we'll talk.
Лук, господи.
Oh, well, technically yes, but that just means you'll need to be a little discreet.
Давай
Thank you,
так.
friend.
В жопу пойдешь ты у меня. Своим луком.
Malleolus. I mean, Sentius couldn't even keep his daughter safe. What hope does he have of protecting us? Certainly. Certainly. All I ask is a reasonable price of 1,000
Ты дурак?
denarii.
Нет там.
That's hardly my concern. But if you get a job, work hard and save your coins, you should be able to afford it within, say, 5 years? Very well. Perhaps I can interest you in something within your budget? Very well. Another time.
Но ведь воровство это типа нарушение золотого правила, там все дела. Это да, его будка-то. Ой. Круглая буханка хлеба, которую можно разделить на кусочки. Похоже, что ее может взять любой желающий. Ну уж ладно, я, наверное, одну возьму. Куда мне тут? Я бы кусочек взяла. Каменная мельница. Похоже, что мука и зерно насыпаются сверху и перемалываются между камнями вращением рукояда. Ток. Вообще, я думала, здесь его лавка. Типа, если уж тащить, так... Че, ты пройти не можешь? Господи, как по огню скакать, так мы скачем, как лошадка, как прям... Так. А, ну я типа пообещала, поэтому украсть.
How'd you do?
Как дела? Иди тут воровать. Ты за мной идешь, да? Блин, нереально стрёмно. Маленькое домашнее святилище, где древние римляне молились о защите. Как лежит. А, вон у него где лавка, нифига, он в тенечке загорает там. И смотрит, идет.
Hey, Virgil, how much would you want to make me a bow?
For the last time, Dacius, I'm not making you a bow.
But why?
You know why.
But how am I going to defend myself against someone else with a weapon?
There are no other weapons in the city. We all went along with the magistrate's weapons ban, so it wouldn't be an issue.
That's why I've got to get in first before someone else beats me to it.
Так, нет, я пока не буду это делать. Давайте снимем с него. Тут что? Это, наверное, вряд ли какой-то. Блин, ну это самое логичное, конечно, здание. Вот я имею в виду украсть вот это вот. Оно дополнительно. Все, конечно, пялятся на меня. Больше не на кого посмотреть.
Ah, a fellow traveler from a faraway land. Greetings, I'm Georgius. It gladdens me to see another foreigner in our midst. We must stick together, you and I. And I must say, my sartorial friend, your clothing is most extraordinary. Leather boots in place of sandals, trousers with precise stitching, and such a curious design. I have traveled distant trade routes from the markets of Damascus to the farms of India, and never have I seen anyone dressed quite like you. Tell me, I must know, from which exotic part of the world do you hail? Then you are an explorer, like me. Wonderful. You must have many stories to share. I cannot wait to hear them. We will have much time here to get to know one another. But for now, do you require assistance? I know you do not require clothing, so information perhaps? My story? How kind of you to ask. I am a tailor and I run the humble shop in the forum. A good question. A very good question indeed. And I would be happy to tell you if only I could remember it clearly myself. I remember I had just been to Rome to sell an extraordinary selection of wares, and drowning in coin, I decided to celebrate my success. I rented a prestigious villa by the Tiber, invited over a few select friends, and we began making our way through some of the most exquisite wine money could buy. Quite a lot of it, in fact. Now, I have had visions and awoken in strange places before. I have even found myself naked in the desert sands more than once, but none of that compares to this. This time, I remember people screaming, then falling into a void as empty as time before creation, gasping for air, and then nothing. When I regained my faculties, I was lying naked by the banks of the Tiber, gods know how many miles from my villa. Indeed. I'm lucky I was carrying a little extra weight. I believe it kept me afloat. In any case, it seems I'd been rescued and resuscitated by a benevolent stranger. I went to find firewood for his campfire, stumbled across a cave, and discovered that trapdoor temple. And here I am. You mean to say, with all the turmoil and terror of the Golden Rule, and so few customers, why bother setting shop at all? I'll tell you, it is precisely because of the Golden Rule that I wish to remind my friends of the importance of looking one's best. I say, the more of our customs we preserve down here, The more we can preserve a semblance of normality, the better our chances of keeping our heads. Don't you agree? Oh, and there is another reason too. If we all end up as golden statues for future generations to marvel at, I don't know about you, but I would like to look my best. Anything you like. Ah, yes. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one. As a Greek, this is nothing new to me. It is how our gods operate. Have you not heard the tale of the god Hades? He was the first to learn this dreadful lesson when he abducted Persephone and imprisoned her in the underworld. When Demeter, the mother of Persephone, learned of this, she did not punish Hades, the guilty one. Instead, she changed the climate of Earth so that it became hot and dry. Nothing grew. The grain turned to empty husks and the rivers dried up. Innocent people died by the tens of thousands until at last the other gods were forced to act, lest they have no worshippers left. So yes, we know this rule. This has always been the case. The Golden Rule has merely brought it into focus. If we are to survive, I say we must each heed the simple wisdom of Thales of Miletus, first of the 7 sages of Greece, who said, "Avoid doing what you would blame others for doing."
Кстати, круто, да. Избегайте совершать поступки, за которые вы порицали бы других. Блин.
It does, doesn't it? But it is not enough for us to do this alone. For even if 99% of us adopt this principle, that will never be enough. Sadly, no matter how well we protect ourselves, the life's work of many good people can be undone in the blink of an eye by a single selfish act.
Это опять пропадает.
It is not all bad, my friend, because it is this fragility which makes life so precious. But on a lighter note, I will say one thing for the Golden Rule. For all their grim and haunting poses, these golden statues do make magnificent models for my clothing, do they not? That, my friend, is quite the dilemma. But after some reflection, I'm leaning toward voting for Malleolus. I do not enjoy the thought of another visit from Domitius if I voted the wrong way. Nothing comes to my mind, my friend. I hope that our paths cross again soon, my friend.
Конечно, увидимся. Ты будешь в золотом. Ты будешь в золотом, и я буду в золотом. Я почти уверена в этом. Так, а тут кто живет?
Make sure you stay away from that empty shrine. It's going to collapse at any moment. Ah, a new face. Salve, and welcome to our little community. My name's impossible to pronounce for most people, so you can just call me Virgil. You arrived on a sad day, friend. What with Julia's death. I wish we could have met under better circumstances.
Прям...
Oh, it means someone thinks I'm a sinner, and that I'm going to break the Golden Rule. Look, I haven't done anything wrong, if that's what you're thinking. Somebody just has a problem with my preference for male company. Hey, nothing gets by you, huh? Sorry, that was mean. Yes, I like men. And when you grow up in the north, as I did, in the city of Noviomagus, you expect a bit of hostility. The Batavi are not known for their tolerance. I saw enough friends killed or driven away to know the cost of not keeping your personal affairs to yourself. So I hid who I was for, what was it, nearly 10 years? Watching what I said and where I looked. But that kind of fear eats away at you slowly, until living isn't any better than the thing you were afraid of. Needless to say, since I'm now living underground, halfway across the known world, with an assumed name, my openness didn't go down well among the enlightened folk of the Batavi. Nice of you to say, but not necessary. In any case, the Romans are far more accepting, and among them, I get to be who I am. Or at least I thought that was the case. It seems I was wrong. It's not just graffiti. I have quite a collection of handwritten notes too. The strange thing is, I keep my personal affairs to myself. I've never really been interested in any of the men here. Not my type. So I'm not sure what I could have done to upset this person. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably one of those cultists. Strange bunch. They insist there's only one God, and that he considers my nature as sin. Can you believe that? If there are any of them here, they won't admit it. Not since they supposedly burnt down half of Rome last year and went into hiding. All I know is, if these threats keep escalating, eventually my secret admirer is going to cross a line and break the golden rule.
Блин, давай вот так.
Let's hope so.
Не хочу никого искать. Ну, блин, сейчас. Потом я, может, ему помогу. Там же было, что можно. Так.
Well, I'm an architect. Or at least I was back in Rome. That's probably too grandiose a term to describe what I do here. Help out with repairs and try to stop old buildings from collapsing on people. That kind of thing. But you probably don't want to hear about the ingenious architecture or mysterious history of this place. Oh, I'm glad you asked. Some of these shrines were constructed hundreds of years ago, which means Romans have been arriving here for at least that long. But there's one thing that puzzles me. The oldest shrine in this avenue isn't Roman at all. It's Greek. I'm not sure. It could mean that the Romans, who first started building here, were just copying Greek architecture, which they do all the time. Or it could mean that there were Greeks living and worshipping here before the Romans arrived. Which begs the interesting question, who really built this place? And could it be far older than any of us imagine? If only there was a way we could talk to the people who came here before us. The stories they could tell. Gladly. Personally, my favorite thing about this place is the aqueducts. Those series of adjoining arches. They're an ingenious feat of Roman engineering with a very practical purpose. They take fresh water coming from outside the city and distribute it all across the chasm. It's funneled below the palace and into a cistern beneath the great temple. Some of it flows down into another cistern beneath the villas, and the rest is funneled to the shrine of Proserpina, where it fills the lake and allows us to fish and farm. Hey, not so loud. Just talking about that could anger the gods for all we know. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you'd have to find a way inside somehow. Just, please, try to be a bit more discreet about it. You mean the Great Temple? This one's a bit of a mystery. Given the way it's positioned so prominently, looking down on us, it's clear that whoever built it felt it was the most important temple in the city. Unfortunately, someone else went out of their way to keep its purpose a mystery. You see, usually a temple is dedicated to a particular god, like Proserpina or Diana or Apollo. Usually, that god is obvious. But in this case, it's unknown. There's an obelisk out the front, which probably used to bear the name of this unknown god. But it appears Some barbarian defaced it. And of course we can't get inside because it's locked up tighter than the Temple of Saturn in Rome. And that contains the treasury. So we're all left wondering, which god is that temple dedicated to? And could it be the one responsible for the golden rule? Unless somebody figures out a way inside, I suppose we'll never know.
Такая прям мимика у него.
Of course. Some people say it's divine, the work of a god, but I'm not so sure. It just seems so flawed to me. Like it's distinctly human. I mean, once you've been here long enough, you'll notice people doing things that just seem so wrong to you. But this so-called god doesn't seem to care, which means one of two things. Either you don't know the difference between right and wrong, or this unknown god doesn't. And I'm pretty sure I know the difference. Do you? Good. Then I hope you'll agree that there are only two ways of dealing with unfair rulers. The first is to leave. The second is to remove the ruler from power. And it seems leaving may not be an option. Good question. It's best if I say no more, but I hope you'll give it some thought.
Ну, блин, про это мы поговорили уже.
Well, Malleolus is talking about loosening some of the restrictions in this place. And while it's all a bit vague, at least he has a vision. My vote isn't for sale, if that's what you're asking. Nice to talk to you.
Совсем не хотела тебя обидеть. Куда побежал-то? Ну-ка, что тут у тебя написано?
Salve.
Ах ты, собака. Поворачивается. А, вон там есть небо-то все-таки. Угу. Я думала, как тут деревья вот эти. Блин, ну манит, конечно, меня эта склянка. Где ты там стоишь-то?
Don't you just love springtime?
А, вот он нарядил.
Greetings and salutations.
А где он? Не пяльтесь на меня. Так, заглянуть хотела.
Arve.
О, привет.
Arve again. Did you find what you need? See you again soon, I hope.
Так. Думаю, что нам пора на сегодня закончить. Вот так. Угу. На этом месте мы сохранимся тогда и уже продолжим в следующей серии. Очень рада была для вас поснимать это видео, даже с таким хрипшим голосом, за что, в принципе, извиняюсь.
I hope you're taking care of yourself.
Так. То есть перед тем, как я собиралась записать видео, все было хорошо с голосом, но постепенно он вот докатился до такого хриплого, прокуренного оттенка. Хотя я не курю. Вот. В общем, рада была записать для вас видео. Пока-пока.